For over a decade, Apple has maintained a fixed release cycle centered on a single hardware silhouette. Every September, the company unveils a new variation of the same metal and glass rectangle. This chart shows the revenue ceiling for that design. Last quarter, Apple reported $143.8 billion in total revenue, with $85.2 billion of that coming exclusively from iPhone sales, an all-time high that exceeded the company's own internal projections. However, physical smartphone hardware has reached a point of diminishing returns. With processors and cameras already meeting the needs of most users, Apple faces the challenge of sustaining this level of growth through incremental updates alone. Internal reports now point to a 3-year blueprint designed to break this stagnation. The plan involves a total overhaul of the iPhone's physical form and a departure from the company's traditional release calendar. Hardware engineering chief John Ternus is the executive leading this roadmap. Because Ternus is a primary candidate to succeed Tim Cook, the outcome of this 3-year rollout will likely serve as his final evaluation for the CEO position. This timeline is more than a product refresh. It is a strategic maneuver to maintain Apple's market share while formalizing the next generation of company leadership. The first phase arrived in 2025 with the iPhone 17 Pro's plateau camera housing and the introduction of the ultra-thin iPhone Air. The next major milestone is set for September 2026, when Apple is expected to release its first foldable iPhone. While some reports suggested engineering delays might push the launch into 2027, supply chain data indicates the device remains on schedule to debut alongside the iPhone 18 Pro. The device features a book-style hinge and measures approximately 4.5 millimeters thick when unfolded. This design supports a 7.8-inch inner display, positioning the phone as a direct competitor to high-end tablets. To maintain this thin profile, Apple is reportedly removing the Face ID sensors in the Fold, opting instead for a Touch ID sensor integrated into the power button. iOS 27 will support this hardware with iPad-style multitasking features, allowing the foldable to run side-by-side applications on the expanded screen. With a price tag that could reach $3,000 for high-capacity models, the Fold targets the professional market as a high-margin productivity tool instead of a consumer handset. By 2027, Apple abandons the single September launch for distinct spring and fall cycles. Spring brings the iPhone 18, 18e, and Air 2 for consistent early revenue. Fall is reserved for one flagship, the 20th anniversary iPhone. For this anniversary model, engineers aim for a seamless design, a chassis built from a single piece of curved glass without any cutouts or seams. To achieve this, Apple must hide the front-facing camera entirely behind the pixels of the display, eliminating the need for a notch or dynamic island. This bifurcated schedule protects the company's financial baseline. By launching reliable, lower-cost models in the spring, Apple can afford the high R&D costs required for the experimental flagship in the fall. This transition marks a departure from the predictable annual cycle. Apple is becoming a biannual operation, balancing specialized foldables, thin lifestyle devices, and entry-level models. This chart illustrates the financial logic of the new playbook. The spring releases provide a stable floor for quarterly earnings, while the fall flagships provide the high-margin spikes that drive overall annual growth. Managing the logistics of this multi-year roadmap is the final requirement for John Ternus. His ability to coordinate these complex launches will determine his readiness for the top executive role. The success of these 3 years will dictate Apple's ability to remain competitive as the smartphone market shifts toward new form factors. Ultimately, this blueprint is a preemptive strike. Apple is choosing to disrupt its own successful business model before the market moves on without them.